Hey guys, it's Vanessa and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another week of weekly food prep. Except this week, you guys, is a little bit more fall themed. I'm going to show you guys the best pumpkin seeds and how to make your own pumpkin puree. Alright, so you guys see me do this in every weekly video. I go ahead and prep all of my produce by washing it in some cold water and a few tablespoons of vinegar. Now I'm going to let those soak for about 15 minutes. While that's happening, I'm going to do some other things. So every week you guys see me prep bacon, whether we want it for soups or sandwiches or even reheating in the microwave for breakfast. That's really good, you guys. You just stick it between some paper towel and it takes like 15 seconds per slice. It's super easy. So all I'm doing is laying this out on a cookie sheet with some parchment paper. We're going to cook it at 400 degrees for 25 minutes. So while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and prep a few other things while we're still waiting for the vegetables to wash. I have these Rubbermaid Brilliance containers. You guys hear me rave about them every week. Also, you've seen me prep lunch meat. The reason I like to do this is I freeze my lunch meat, so sometimes it comes out kind of full of condensation and it's a little bit wet. So I just find when I separate it, it keeps it from getting that sliminess. And two, just that sliminess period that it gets in the plastic wrapping or in a Ziploc bag. So when it's laid out and rolled up like this in a nice container, it stays fresher longer. My kids and my spouse are more inclined to just grab it and snack on it. And it's ready when I'm wanting to make wraps, and it just keeps it looking really nice and fresh. All right, so you're probably wondering, why am I only using my salad spinner now? Well, I had so much produce, it would have been kind of ridiculous to do it all in this little salad spinner. So I do like to use it to spin out things that I don't want to have too much moisture on. So these green onions, you guys, if you're not following me on Facebook, you need to do that because you'll see that I have managed to make my green onions last minimum 14 days. I'm sure they last longer, but I usually eat most of them. So this has been my routine every week. I buy 2 bunches of green onions. I go ahead and wash them in some vinegar, dry them to the best of my ability, chop them up, stick them in a Rubbermaid Brilliance container with some paper towel, and it's amazing. And I am about to show you 2-week-old green onions right here, guys. Take a look at this. I did not change the paper towel out once. It's very damp because basically its job is to absorb all of the moisture and keep it out of the onions. It's amazing. Please do this and leave a comment down below if you try it. I've had people ask if my produce tastes like vinegar when I wash it in vinegar. No, it does not, because I make sure that I rinse it pretty thoroughly with more cold water. You could also just fill this up and kind of let it soak off again, but I find this to be more than efficient. All I'm going to do now is dry my apples off and put them away, and then we'll get going on the celery. So I did food prep a red onion about a week ago, and I wanted to show you guys an update on how that's doing because I hadn't done it this way and I wanted to see if it would work the same as the green onions. And you guys, it's amazing. It's been last Sunday, so I want to say it's been about 8 days since I prepped this red onion. So all I'm going to do is I am going to switch out the paper towel, unlike the green onions, because I found this one a little more saturated. I'm thinking red onions probably have a little more moisture in them, but they're still going strong, so I'm not cutting any more red onions. This is my red onion food prep for the week. Guys, I think we have the celery talk every week. So these are the Rubbermaid Freshworks containers. Yes, they're pricey. No, you don't need them for celery, but they're really good for berries and other fruits because they have that little tray on the bottom. I'm just using it without the tray because we're going to fill this baby with water. Store your celery in water. It needs water. It craves water, you guys. It'll keep it from getting brown, and if you change it out every 3 days, I promise your celery will last a couple of weeks. You absolutely want to make sure that the celery is covered. A mason jar works really well. I just happened to have bought in the huge Costco bag, so I needed to use a very big container this week. Also want to shout out to one of my subscribers who suggested I put a damp towel under my cutting board. All right, so I promised homemade pumpkin puree. This is a pumpkin hand-picked by my mother-in-law, even has my name on it. No, these are not my tattoos. These are my spouse's, Jamie's, and I needed his muscle to get this baby open. And he also wanted to show you his fancy YouTube hand gestures because he likes to make fun of mine. Anyway, guys, here we go. So it's no different than scooping the seeds out and the flesh out if you were going to carve a pumpkin. I'm going to take them all out, and then I am going to save the seeds to go ahead and show you how to roast the most amazing pumpkin seeds you will ever eat. All right, so the best way I've always found is to dry your pumpkin seeds before you try to roast them. You can do that by sticking them in an extremely low oven, like 200, and just kind of dry them out. For me, I have a double oven, so my pumpkin is going to go in, and on the bottom oven, which will not be on, but it always stays a little warm, I'm going to stick this tray of seeds and let that dry out for about an hour and a half while my pumpkin roasts. So here's my pumpkin, 350. Now you can do it for 45 minutes to an hour. This one did take me about an hour and 15 minutes. It's pretty big and I didn't cut it up. And then, like I said, my pumpkin seeds will sit on the very bottom oven, drying out to perfection. All right, guys, we will talk pumpkin seeds and pumpkin puree in a few minutes, but first we're going to get this roast chicken going in my Ninja Foodie. So I have talked about doing a Ninja Foodie, kind of like a 20-minute video of all the best things to cook, the reasons you should own a Ninja Foodie, all of those things, comparing it to an Instant Pot. So this is one of the main reasons. I like to roast a chicken in here and tear it up so I have it for the week for fried rice, for sandwiches, for pastas, whatever we want. So you can season your chicken however you'd like. I just like salt, pepper, and the organic no salt seasoning from Kirkland. You need a cup of water and you're going to pressure cook it for 23 minutes. So this is the prime reason that I love my Foodie, is the dual ability of it, is to just pop that pressure cooker lid off, throw down the air crisp lid, and cook it for another 9 minutes. You will have a perfectly cooked chicken, crispy, moist, and delicious. I'm not as worried about the crispy because we're not eating it as a whole chicken tonight, but to be able to rip it up and use it throughout the week, this is so easy, you guys. Everybody needs to own one. Now, another advantage of the Foodie is it will count down and keep it on warm if you're busy doing something else. So here you go. It's not super pretty because, like I said, the goal wasn't to eat this as a roast chicken dinner with gravy, which I've done. Go check out my What's for Dinners. I will link it down below. So I'm going to let that cool for a minute. While it's doing that, I'm going to cut up my bacon and throw it into this glass lock container. I've showed you guys these containers. I have like 2 left, you guys, because they just don't close properly. So I'm just going to slice my bacon in half, throw a piece of paper towel in the container so it soaks up any excess grease, and throw it in. This always lasts us about a good week. We love it. We make BLTs, we throw it in our soups, we can throw it in whatever I'm making for supper that week. Bacon goes with everything.
I'm putting a crease in the pants I can do, not a shirt. You touch my creases in the military, you end up cutting your finger. That's why I tell people, don't. I look at it, don't punch it, you end up cutting yourself.
So that little story you just heard was Jamie talking about when he was in the military and how good he was at ironing and making creases in his pants. You could cut yourself with them. They were so sharp. Anyway, obviously you guys know I am not the most patient person on the planet, so I'm just going to get into this chicken and start tearing it up. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it into the bigger glass lock container, and you'll see right here, I cannot get it closed, you guys. It drives me crazy. Okay, back to the pumpkin seeds. So these are super, super dried out. Now, if you don't have a double oven, or that's not an option, or you can't leave them in your oven for an hour and a half or 2 hours at a really low temperature, then that's fine. You could leave them out and dry them overnight. You just want them to be dry. Personally, I would avoid the boiling and the steaming. I just don't think it's necessary. Jamie said these were the best pumpkin seeds he's ever had, but it's too funny because he says that about everything I make. I love him. Anyway, I am going to go ahead and add barely a teaspoon of canola oil. That's a personal preference. I like a flavorless oil. Olive oil is a little bit strong for that. And I'm going to add probably the same amount of salt and garlic salt combined, about a teaspoon total, not very much. Now, they can take a lot of flavor, so if you want yours to be a lot saltier, then go for it. I'm also going to give a good little shake of black pepper. Trust me, the 3 of them combined are going to make an amazing, delicious snack. These are so good too, guys, on top of salads. Here we go. Lay them back out on that same parchment sheet. Go ahead and lay them out as flat as you can. Try not to have too many overlapping because you really want them to get that nice golden brown. We're going to do these guys 350 for 10 minutes exactly. Now that's my oven. I don't know about yours, so just keep an eye maybe the first time you're making them so you can gauge how long it would take with your oven. They came out epic. even just looking at these here, I have watched other YouTube videos and other people roasting their pumpkin seeds and questioning what they were doing. There was melted butter under them. They were soggy and wet. To me, it should be dry, just like you would if you opened up a bag of seeds at the store. So here they are. They turned out great. I'm going to store them in a smaller little Rubbermaid Brilliance container, and we've been snacking on them all day. I feel like this is what I've been waiting for all day, you guys, is this pumpkin to cool down so that I can finally puree it. So I'm just pushing it down. You can kind of gauge if it's done if you're easily able to push your thumb into the skin. So I'm gonna let these cool probably about half an hour, but they were still pretty steaming, as you can see here when I tried to peel them. The best way that I found, guys, is to just stick a spoon under it and just start scraping it back. I will say there were parts of my pumpkin that didn't roast as evenly. I'm going to blame my oven for that because it just has a hot spot and a not so hot spot. Such is life. All I'm doing now is getting all the peel off the best that I could and chopping it up into chunks, and I'm going to throw it into my blender. Now I have a Ninja blender. It is not my favorite for pureeing squash and things like that, if I'm honest. I used to have a Vitamix. I swear by that. Someday I'm going to grow up and get another one. In the meantime, all I actually ended up having to do with this one, guys, is fish out any lumps that didn't puree. It's not a big deal. I actually ended up just feeding it to the dogs. They loved it. All right, so I ended up talking to a friend of mine, and I wanted to get some advice on the best way to store your pumpkin. She said, honestly, the best way is to freeze it. She's a master canner, so I trust her when she tells me about storing anything. So what I'm doing is scooping 1 cupful into a Ziploc bag. This is basically because most measurements call for a cup of pumpkin puree, whether I'm baking pancakes or muffins or cookies or even cooking. I'm going to go ahead, and I ended up, I think, getting 6 or 7 bags. I'll just flatten them out, seal them up, label them, and I'll be set for baking, soups, anything I want. I have to tell you something really funny that she said. Is I said, I was going to Pinterest how to store this or how to can this, but I thought I'd ask you first. And she said, oh God, stay off Pinterest. You'll end up with botulism. There you have it, another week of motivational food prep. Guys, I do not script content from my channel. I do not say, hey, I'm going to do this so I can film it next week. This is my real life. This is food that my family eats, that they need, that helps me throughout the week so I don't waste my produce, waste my lunch meat. It's going to help me do some baking and get all those fun things. And for me around here, I cannot find small cans of pumpkin puree. All we have are ginormous ones. So now I have 7 baggies of 1 cups of pumpkin puree. I have some snacks. I didn't waste the pumpkin. I don't know, guys. When I do things like this, it makes me feel accomplished. It makes me feel motivated to keep doing it next week. If you guys try any of these tips, please leave a comment down below and let me know, and make sure you're following me on Instagram for more tips, advice, and shenanigans. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see all of you in my next video.